Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be installing this AEM Wideband into Project Prelude. So if y'all haven't been following the journey, in the past two videos I installed Honda S300 into a P28 that's now running this car. So that basically fully unlocks the ECU to let me do absolutely anything. And I've been running the tune I found off the internet because I've been waiting for this. Now what a wideband is it basically measures the air to fuel ratio that's going out the exhaust pipe. And that determines how the engine's running, how many parts of air to fuel. Now you always want to maintain a specific air to fuel ratio. I'm learning right now, but from the research I've done, it's around 12 to 7 full throttle going down the track or down the street, whatever, somewhere in the like mid 12s. I've researched and found that that's optimal. Now those are just rough numbers. Do your own research. Diving into this type of stuff will blow your engine up, but this will definitely help keep it alive as long as you do it right. Either you learn or you take it to a tuner. That's your two options. I'm also going to attempt to wire in my oil pressure gauge into a Honda. That way I can set up some safeties in case I ever lose oil pressure. The engine should just shut off. I did a video a while ago installing the oil pressure sensor in this car. So everything is wired up. I should just be able to take a wire and literally just tap the signal and send it straight to the Honda. But we'll worry about that later. Right now, I'm just focused on installing this gauge. So what came in the box is obviously the gauge. It also came with a white face in case that's your thing. I will be running the black. It also came with this Bosch O2 sensor. It also came with two really nice wiring looms, one to connect the O2 sensor to the gauge and one to power everything and get the signal and whatnot. It also came with some connectors and a bomb if you want to install it into a new exhaust or you want to run a second O2. I'm going to be taking a factory narrowband O2 sensor out the pipe. I'm going to use that bomb to run this wideband. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this installed. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and install this sensor, since that's going to be the hardest part, since that's going to require me to get underneath the car. So I'm going to go ahead and jack it up and go ahead and get started. So this is the end that actually plugs into the O2 sensor. I'm gonna drop that down. So once I got the O2 sensor in, I'm just going ahead and plug it up. So they go to plug, drop down, and right there is the stock O2. So I'm gonna take that out, swap the wideband in, plug it up, and we're gonna work on the inside of the car next. Alright, so I'm hoping y'all can see, but I got the new wideband in. I got it zip tied to the old oxygen sensor plug just to get it away from the axle. I don't want it to come in contact with the axle. So that's all good. I also ended up routing it more on the passenger side because it was getting really close to that driver's axle. So I ran it through like a little passageway right here, and it's coming up. There it is right there. It's on this old vacuum line hose like holder. It's holding it perfectly, so I'm just gonna leave that be. And now it's running out over there. So now I need to find a way to run it inside the car. I'm probably gonna use like a grommet or something. I'm gonna look around and I'm gonna see. I'm gonna let y'all know. Alright, so I found where I was running the wire, and this is a hole that one of the owners put in the firewall to run power to an amp. I ended up moving that to the other side. The red wires is for the oil gauge, and the thick black one, that's obviously for the wideband. But in order to fit it into that little hole, I cut it. And the reason why I did that is A, long as hell, and B, the only way to get into the car is through the fender. It's a grommet right here and it's going around. I'm pretty sure that's for the fuse box. I didn't want to take this whole fender off. That was a lot of work, and by me just cutting it and feeding it to that existing hole, I can, like I say, shorten it. So now what I need to do is go ahead and remove the door seal right there. I need to remove the fuse cover, and I need to remove the A-pillar so I can go ahead and get the gauge installed. So let's do this. Okay, so I got everything taken apart, everything ready to be soldered. I want to break down the wiring for y'all real quick. So we're gonna start on the passenger side. Now the passenger side is where the ECU is, and I also installed an auxiliary fuse box. If y'all haven't seen that video, I recommend y'all watching it. Link in the top right corner. But anyway, I got 4 wires coming over here. I think they're like 22 gauge, and they're going behind the radio, and they're actually right here. So this pair right here is positive and negative. This is for power to the gauge and the sensor. This is what's gonna go into that fuse box right there. And this pair right here is actually for oil and the air fuel ratio. These are the signal wires that's going into the analog plug on the ECU, which we will address when we get there. So this cable right here is actually the power and signal wire that's coming off the gauge. So those two, power and ground, will go right here, and then the signal is the white, and the blue I don't believe we will be using. I will let y'all know once we get this working. And then right there is actually the cut I made to get it in the firewall. So I just need to resolder the same colors. That's the cable coming off the O2 sensor. And then right there, that green is my signal wire for my oil pressure. I'm going to tap into that, and that's going to be the additional wire that's running over here, and that's going to be going into the ECU. So I'm going to go ahead and set y'all up on the tripod. I got a whole bunch of soldering to do, so let's get it. Well, would you look at that? It's working, and she all over the place. So I definitely need to clean all of this up. It's a huge mess, and I don't have it wired into the ECU yet, so I have it running an open loop right now. But just from reading this, I didn't realize how over the place this map was, but I guess that's what you get from running things off the internet. So right now at idle, it's like super lean. I added a little more fuel. Let me see, what if I try to bump up right here? You see that where my mouse sets? Right above it say 66. I'm gonna just add a little bit more right there and see what happens. I'm adding more now. Add a little bit more. Stop the video. Y'all see the 3 dashes on the gauge? Tell me why the sensor cracked out as soon as I started using it. Alright, so it's actually been 2 weeks since I last recorded that last clip. And that's because, like I say, the sensor immediately went out. It's crazy. I tried to test it. I pulled it out. I tried to put the gauge on direct battery power. I thought maybe that was it. I even tried to do like the brake clean test, and it was actually working. I'm like, what the hell? That's when you take the O2 sensor out, spray a towel or a cloth with some brake clean and wrap it in the sensor, and the gauge should read full lean, and it was doing that. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. By the way, I'm gonna leave the video below to show y'all how to test y'all wideband sensors. Just check in the description. But anyway, I've been in contact with AEM, and they've been really good to me. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, look, I'm getting 3 dashes. I tried everything, and he ended up sending me a new one. Tell me why the UPS lost the new one. So I'm like, what the fuck? So luckily, AEM sent me another sensor, no problem. Shout out to AEM. And they 2-day aired that to me. Using UPS, I was a little worried, but it did come while I've had all this downtime. I've been researching a lot, and some I found on the internet. The first sensor I had, the one that crapped out, did not have any writing or like the Bosch etching or like the part number, all the writing that's supposed to be on the sensor. But the one that AEM sent me did. I'm like, this is weird. And I put everything back together on the driver's side. You know, I did all this off camera because I was just really getting annoyed, and I didn't want it to be repetitive, like me testing and pulling stuff apart and putting it back together, and it was all repetitive. So I did all this off camera. Now it's time to pull out the ECU. Alright, so I got the ECU out so I can go ahead and wire up the wideband to it. Now originally I was going to use one of the analog inputs, but I found out through research that with the analog inputs, if you try to use a wideband on it, you can't run the car in closed loop, which I do want to do. That way it still run pretty stock. So what I'm going to do is wire it in like how basically everyone else do it, using D10. That's the ELD pin. And you also have to come on the board and remove the resistor 136 and the 138, which is literally right there. The one is one on the top, one on the bottom, but don't remove the middle one. And then we go ahead and put this back in the car, and we have to tap it to D10, and it should work after that. Okay, so I got the wideband wired up to D10. It was green and black on my card. Here it is right here, soldered up and heat shrink. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put all this back together and test and make sure it works. All right, so you see the gauge, 15.5, 15.6. Right here, 15.7, 15.6, somewhere around there. So as you can see, it is working. What I have to do to get this working is, first thing you need to do is go ahead and set your wideband input source to D10 ELD. This -0.2, I put that in there just to, I actually don't even know if it's really doing anything, but it was reading a little high on the computer, so I put -0.2 and now they seem to match up. So I don't know if it's really doing anything. I'm learning just like y'all. Right here, this voltage / lambda conversion table. Your wideband should have came with this information, but here's what you can use if you have this AEM Uego sensor. I still have it in open loop because I need to tune it. It's running a little bit lean, so I'm just gonna leave it in open loop. And then you need to go to miscellaneous. This is parameters, by the way. Go to miscellaneous and you want to hit disable ELD, and then you should be solid. So it's still reading a bit high, but other than that, they are pretty identical. I'm not sure if they would ever match perfectly, and it probably have matched better if I powered it off the computer's power and ground, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to put it into the fuse box. So I think I can go ahead and put all this back together. Let me go ahead and put this together, and I finally can wrap this video up. I've been ready to wrap this up for a while. All right, so I got everything clamped up on that side. I wasn't able to get the oil pressure working. It was rating extremely high for some reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and figure it out in the next video. As you can see, my laptop died. It's off. So I'm like, you know what, I'm done for the night. And this is been, I'm sweaty as hell. It's been 90 degrees outside. It's hot as hell, but gotta get it done. But anyway, this has been one hell of a video. The wideband is working. I can see it on S Manager, so now I can finally tune the fueling. I'm actually running in closed loop right now. And look at that AFR. Ooh, baby, we're right on the money. Yeah, I had turned on closed loop before my computer died. So now it's running pretty good now. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Next video will be actually tuning the fueling, and I'm gonna hopefully get that oil pressure working. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comments below. I'm not a professional. I'm learning with you guys. So if you guys got any recommendations on what I can do if I made a mistake or something, please let me know. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.